Okay, so here, this is where we stopped here to continue. I wanted to check how many pips, like this is actually the conservative trade to take. So hold on. Sorry. I'm trying to clear something from my screen. Okay. All right, so that's like a more conservative trade to take, where it would have been like impulse point A, point B, point C, then this was point D. Although we didn't get to our TP2, but it was close enough. And you know that you are in a counter trade trend, because this is like the main impulse correction of that move. You're not just going to stay there for a long time. You understand? Uh it's even like the now this is very tricky, because you could have gotten in around here, which wasn't bad, but would your account have been able to handle it? So remember that we were coming from a downtrend that diverged around here to pull back. So we have a break of structure. You have your first minor structure, you know, impulse, and then you have your correction. So impulse is here. You have your correction, which is like 38.2. Okay, yeah, it's like 38.2, right? And then you had price push up here. So that's one move. Then hope it's not okay, same thing I already trade. Hope it's not confusing for you guys. Are you following? So you have that minor structure pullback. You know that you have that understanding that we we have started a downtrend, because this broke structure, the previous the sell move, that impulse move down, it actually broke this structure here. So here, point A to point B, broke the structure. So we are starting a new trend. You know that. So you are not here to go for a buy reversal, except price actually pushes out of this 4-hour zone and then retest it. That's where you know that that buy is valid. Okay. But that was a good trade to take over 100 and something pips from. So you have the minor, that minor structure move inside there. Okay, but what I wanted to show you guys was you could have entered at this point and it would have been valid. Why? Because you had price at 61.8, which is a golden area, like a golden zone, a PRZ level. Then if you drag this forward, this is a support level, right? Or that is retesting as resistance. Then you had your this strong engulfing candlestick, and you had a retest here. Okay, so this would have been the entry that you would have taken, but then you saw that price retested and started going back. I think I was actually in this sell here, but I got out of it at break even, because price was going higher and that bullish move had not finished. So if you look at the way this price came to retest, it was very strong exhaustion that happened. So you just wait for price to finish doing what it's doing, right? When you realize that, oh, you got in too early, you just wait for it to be done. So let me delete this. So how could you have taken this last buy? I think when I saw these two exhaustion candlesticks, I was just like, okay, let me hold on. So this is a form of this whole area, although it's very shabby, it's like a form of resistance. It's a previous resistance zone that is testing as support. If you can really just look at it, if I drag it back also, you can see all this area is also some form of resistance. Then you now had price, so you have your minor impulse, you have another retest and exhaustion around here. So you could have entered down here, or you could have waited for this to enter here. Also coupled with your understanding the session, you know that New York and all those things, you know how to use the time session that you are in. So price came back to this area of 4-hour zone again, and this is a supply level. You know that now this is sellers area. This is an area for sellers. So we tested this both this trend line and the zone again, and then this is supply zone. Still testing this pink zone over here, and then you had this impulse move. So your next move would have been, because we had divergence, right? You have been to wait for price to come back to retest, if we are going to retest up here, or do what it did, exhaustion. So by the time it created all of this, I was now able to see that this is actually like heads and shoulders. That was after it did all this move down. This is actually heads and shoulders. So I put it there, and heads and shoulders is very powerful, especially when it's close to this higher time frame, right? So we had all these moves down, but you could have cut this like 3 times. First of all, if you didn't catch that, you had exhaustions here. Then the second one too, you had a retest of supply zones. I think I've gone over this when we did entries on YouTube, but you had price come down here. You are at a 1-hour level, a previous level of support. Then you have a pullback. Then you have some form of like, okay, it's not divergence, but you have some form of weak exhaustion that is testing this candlestick variation. This is candlestick variation either 2 or 3, but this is the second type where you have what is inside is either the hammer or the inverted hammer. So you have a bullish candlestick, a single pattern reversal, and then a bearish candlestick. Then you have a retest of that in that area, and you have price coming down. Now this is a break. Another place where we have a break and a retest. Here we have divergence. Here you can see that price was rejecting this area and just consolidating for a bit. It could be annoying, but you just have to stick it out. So you had price actually shoot down for more than 100 pips. Let's see. Yeah, 130 pips. And if you missed that, you have price kind of repeat what it did up. So you have this pullback here and divergence, which is kind of like the smaller version of what it did around here. You can see it pulled back, did divergence, and then came down here to a pullback, you know, had divergence, retested a minor structure, support as resistance, and then shut down. I think I was actually part of that trade. And yeah, how could you have entered here with all of these? First of all, the divergence was not obvious at all. Like, it didn't show itself as divergence. As you can see, this RSI is high is also a higher high, right? But the exhaustion here, the heads and shoulders, all the the fact that it has been coming down, the impulse move down, and then when you draw your fibs, you see that the price has not gotten to the first take profits very well. You just know basically to take that second entry. So you take that second entry, and then price went up before we had our strong move down. So let's talk about that strong move down before we leave, because my battery is So do you guys have any questions so far?
No question.
Okay. All right, so you had that impulse move down. So I'm going to pull out a minor structure fib that we got to 23.6, right? And most times, if you notice with 23.6, you would usually have like that long consolidation in that area before get to TP1. So I am at a 4-hour zone. I'm very mindful. I'm not really taking so much sales. Okay. Not so much sales, right? I'm aware that there is a structure that is going on that is selling, and price, has already hit and finish off this first take profit. So that's where I got out at first. So price ended up going down more, but then started to consolidate to go upwards. So in this place, you could have taken a buy, but this is a classic example of a flag, right? Of a flag. When you see it, you have a strong, bearish impulse move down, and then a pullback, then another bearish move. So this is like a continuation pattern. So still aware that we are in a downtrend, but we have to find a trade. Not like you have to. This happened for a while. So you had price here, you had the exhaustions around this place. Another thing I talked about in the confluence list is the higher low W. A higher low W at support, or an area of like confluence, or an area where you have your weekly, your TP1 or TP2, your higher time frame zone, and you see something like this exhaustion here, and then another one, that is what I call the higher low W with exhaustion. Okay, so you have price go up, come back to retest that area. It has not broken any of those lows, which means like a buy is valid and setting up. So you could have taken this by waiting for this impulse here and the correction, then taking the continuation. Okay, so some things you just have to wait for. You can draw a trend line, just depending on what you see and what you are mostly going with at that point in time. Okay, so here if you could have seen this impulse variation continuation, that's fine. But you have price go up like this, then you had your liquidity grab. Of course, we had this is a candlestick variation, this bearish, then this sort of like single reversal candlestick, like a doji, or yeah, almost looks like a what's it called, spinning top. But here at support, then you have a retest of it down here to go for a buy. Actually took this buy, but you also have to be careful again, because at this point there was news that was coming, which was the interest rates. So you know that you are counter trading this trend. And even if we draw our fib from this level to here, we already hit a TP level. Okay, and even when news happened, news actually pushed it to finish off that move before dropping and melting. So there was no form of break and retest. To have taken this sell, you would just have looked left and seen that this is a retest, this whole area. Yeah, and I want to drag it back also to see. Okay, so you had an area of resistance here. So plus what? One last thing. You hit CP1, you retested support and resistance, and then you had divergence. Those are 3 confluences to take this trade. And if you missed that, that was a really sharp drop. And if you missed that, you could have just you can see it's like price repeating itself. What it did earlier, that I said like wait for it to come back, like it's what it's still doing, because that's what price is all about. It will always repeat itself. So currently, I'm watching for price to come back up to retest, because we don't have a break without a retest most times. So we're watching for price to come back here, but I know it's going to get here, right? But it's not about knowing where price is going to go. It's about being a part of that and how you enter. Because if your entry is kind of like, if you're not paying attention to the 2-3 opportunities that price is giving you to enter, you may miss the whole move. And that happens often. So you just have to train your eyes. And this is actually better with the replay. So I wish we could use the replay, but I feel like you can also do without it if you are disciplined enough to remove your mind from the other things. Okay. So I'm going to wait for more data, but I want to see if price will retest this area. If we have a retest, then we can take a buy on this. Although there was a buy here in the morning and we've gotten to the first take profit. In fact, we hit TP2. So it's reversal, plus we are at a weekly level, which means consolidation. So we're watching for price to come back here. To partake in this sell, I would actually wait for each session to see, because this is GBPJPY. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's a news on GJ. Yeah, I can see bullish action around here. So if we respect this resistance level to come down, then that's fine. I'm not seeing any sign that I should sell. I can only see bullish action here. So if you can get a break and retest of this support, then that's fine. I'll just wait for more data to show up. So is that good, guys? Yeah, I think that's it. I would have loved to go over more pairs, but I need to go to bed. I'm expecting a sell from gold, actually. I'm expecting gold. I'm expecting gold to sell to this 4-hour trend line. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Is that okay?
Yes, ma. Mama, please, when you have a candlestick variation, is it normally like, is it usually the same? Does it normally comes back to retext the impulse candle before going up or something at the demand zone?
Yeah, because in most times in the entry, I always say like you can wait for enter after the retest of the variation. So for example, now this is an example here. So you have this candlestick variation here. Can you see it here?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have this retest here. I mean, you can always enter after, if you are on your chart when you see that this has closed and all this has not happened. If you enter it, that's fine, because your stop loss is always below the last low. So you just take a bit of drawdown before it actually going up. So you already know your target. Your target is your like the next high you see. So in this case, your target is around here or here. Okay. So if you enter up here, that's still okay. You have like that's a lot of drawdown though, because it's good. Oh, this is 1 hour. I was wondering. It's 1 hour. So also the rules apply. The higher the time frame, the stronger the variation, because I actually used it for gold. I saw it on a daily. Let me go to the daily. But you won't enter using the daily. You will just see it and mark it up. So it's just going to be like a support or resistance zone. So I think, where did we see that? Where? So gold is actually ascending to reverse, but that's a long time. I think it was here. So let me drag this here. Yes. So can you see this sell variation, right? Can you see it? Bearish.
Yes, ma'am.
So you go down to your entry time frame, right? As at then, price got to that level and respected it for a sell in that level. So I didn't check the date, but okay, here. I think it's here. So when it got here, we had exhaustion. You had exhaustion around here. You can see all my trend lines. So you had like a break and retest of this minor structure trend line. at that level. So this played out for, knowing that that is a variation, this is 117 pips. It came back again, tested it, and then it did another 73 pips. How would you have known that that wasn't going to reverse? Because of the where you are in the market. Like, we're coming from, plus this aligned with actual support here, but we're coming from, like, this is an impulse move, and this is just correcting to, it's just a point B to C. Do you understand? So, like, just know what structure is doing where you are. But to answer your question, if you see that variation, you can enter at the retest or you can enter at the close of it. I always like to wait for a retest, but most of the times the price will leave you and go and create an impulse move before actually coming back. So you may miss that first, cake.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with entering, closing out, and then entering again. As long as you get like good pips, nothing wrong if you have the time.
Okay.
So currently with gold, I'll just I'll wait, but I'm leaning. I was actually in this sale around. That's why I have this red line. 1807. Got like 60 pips. So yeah, I'll wait. Another pair that has been really, really good, not really good, but is UCAD. When I got that gold, I also saw this UCAD. For example, again, it was at 4-hour zone. Oh, I have to go. But it was on 4-hour zone. And then I saw divergence and exhaustion around that area. And basically what I saw before the entry was a higher low W at that 4-hour zone, and just this exhaustion. This had not even happened, and then this played out for 60, 70 pips. So I'm watching for price to actually drop around this area to see what it's doing. Yeah. All right, so you guys, Victor, I'll check your assignments. I think I've not checked it. You can also send me anything, any other assignment. I will check it when I can. So I wish you guys the best. Happy New Year in advance. Yeah, all right. Take care. Good night.
Nice.